I frequently get messages of young producers that want to be successful with their music career, but they don't know where to improve and what they are doing wrong. No matter if it's making better beats, getting their first sale, or building an audience on social media. They are caught up in this loop of not knowing how to improve. That's why in this video I want to talk about the mindset that industry producers have in order to get the placements and the beat sales that they want, and above all to bring your music career on the right track. Since I implemented these things into my music career, I started to make good money every month, made dope connections, and started to work with cool people that I really like working with. And on top of that, I also feel way more motivated every single day to work on my music and my content. So a quick little backstory before we get into the first topic, since my personal experience is kind of related to that. So when I was stuck in the house during COVID, I posted 2 to 3 tutorials every week on this YouTube channel. To be honest, the editing of those videos weren't that complex as they are today, but it still took me a lot of time to produce these videos. And since I, like most of you guys too probably, are not a 100% full-time producer, and I wasn't one at that time, I almost spent 80 to 90% of the time that I could invest into my music into producing these videos. For some reason I thought that if I keep posting these tutorials, everything will fall into its place magically. And yeah, probably around 1 year later I realized that's not gonna happen. So I was at a point where I had to make some major changes with my approach of this whole thing if I want to pursue this as a full-time career someday. For those who are on the channel a little bit longer, they will notice that I switched up the content and kind of gave the whole channel a brand new theme, a brand new vibe, and yeah, I kind of want to do a little rebranding of my brand. And the reason why I did all that was because of the first topic that I want to talk about now. And it is to set the right priorities. Most producers, and me too at that time, live in this kind of unconscious space where they just do whatever they want to do at that day and not having a real plan on how to achieve specific goals. And that's totally okay if you just want to pursue music as a hobby. But in order to make money with it, you kind of have to treat it like a business and change the general approach and your mindset in a more like entrepreneur mindset, and not as a like creative musician. I do whatever I want mindset. For example, I made a lot of beats at that time, but I didn't really got people to send them to. So I had to work on how can I get my beats to people. And then I also wanted people to have more access to my stuff and more access to my music. So that's why I started to shift my focus towards releasing these kits. If you're new to this channel, I recently released 2 free loop kits. If you want to download them, you can find the link in the description. I also released a complete loop kit. It's only $5. And I also released the Stash drum kit. I also run a discount at the moment with the code STASH. You can get it for $5. It also contains 10 placement ready loops as well, melody midis, hi-hat midis. If you ask me, for $5 it's a no-brainer. What at one point happened was that I asked myself if doing all these tutorials and making just the beats brings my brand forward in a way that I envisioned this whole thing, and I realized it didn't. So I had to ask myself, what goals do I have? What do I plan to actually achieve them? Which is the most important goal? At some point you need to set the right priorities, because just making the beats is cool, but if you have 500 unplaced beats on your hard drive, it's time to work on something different in order to get them to the right people. I saw like people like Cody talk about that, for example, on Twitter, and I want you to sit down for 10 or 15 minutes, take a pen and take a piece of paper and write down the goals you have with music for the next 3 to 4 months. That's usually a good time frame because you can actually achieve something, but it's also not that long that you lose the focus on the goal after a while. Once you got every single goal written down, now you want to add the action steps that you want to take in order to achieve these goals. So for every single goal, you make a plan on what you want to do in order to get there. If you want to bring out 6 loop kits, making 2 loops a day would be the action step. And the last step, as I said before, is to prioritize them. At the end, there has to be a least important goal and a most important goal. It's important to make the decision now, because if the workload gets too much, people tend to rather make no decision than deciding between 2 tasks. You don't want that to happen. And if you want to show absolute commitment, you can put down 1 goal of yours and the action step in the comments. After 4 months, I will remind you and ask you if you actually did what you said what you're gonna do. The second topic I want to talk about is a problem that I often notice in those messages on my Instagram account. And by the way, I pretty much answer everybody on Instagram. If you want to get in contact with me, you can DM me at @spryng040. Just if you have any questions, you can always DM me. And most of the time I notice that they are thinking about giving up because they think the ratio of the time investment and the results that they get is not fair in any way. Russ said one of the best things about that.
You know why? Because people want instant ROI. People want to go to the gym on Saturday and have a six-pack by Monday.
And as a producer, you need to become a master of delayed gratification. You will never see the results of your work immediately. The beat or the loop you're gonna make today can get placed in 1 month, or in 2, 3, 4 months, or in 1 year. You never know. And you always need to keep in mind that you can't stop working today because you did some good work yesterday. Successful industry producers keep going no matter what, and they don't stop just because they have to deal with challenges and setbacks. One of my favorite stories is how Hit Girl made it on the Yeet album and got cut off, made a new beat, and got back on the Yeet album again. The way that you handle challenges like that will definitely decide over your success. But as I said it in one of my last videos, you can't do the absolute minimum in something and expect the best out of it. That's not how business works. The last trait that industry producers have and that I want to talk about is the willingness to improve. One of my favorite quotes related to that actually comes from Khabib. I know he's far away from being a multi-platinum industry producer, but he's one of the most successful people in his profession, and you can apply this advice to everything in life.
Important in your mind. You guys have to stay humble, stay white belt in your mind, even if you're black belt, doesn't matter.
In my opinion, this statement just sums up the problem perfectly. If you think you are Mike Dean's lost son or something, of course you don't put in the necessary work and feel like you can't improve anymore. That's why it's so important as a producer to be able to put your ego by side and be open for feedback. And honestly, the best way to get honest feedback is to put out your stuff everywhere, make content, upload your beats, and just put it out in the world. And also what I like to do is to ask some friends or family members about some feedback. Usually they can't separate between giving feedback on a technical side and telling an opinion based on their personal taste. But sometimes you get actually good feedback of those people because they can take a perspective that you as a producer are not able to take anymore. Most producers can't listen to music like normal people do anymore after they started producing. That's just a fact. You will definitely have noticed that. And at the end, you don't want all producers to listen to your music. You want your music to be out there, and those normal people should be able to enjoy it. But what they usually can't give you good advice on is on how to sell your beats effectively. And if you want to know how to do that, you can check out this video.